any freight will have different type of packagings. It could be a drum, it could be a crate, it could be a pallet. So depending on those types of packagings, everything will be affected on the load. We will have customers that have multiple pails, multiple drums, and that at the end will affect how the LCL looks, right?
Correct, and even loose cargo. We see a lot of that when it comes from imports from Far East in general and Indian subcontinent, right?
Correct.
And
in Asia. Yeah, we saw it here too.
And that's the first thing that an importer should look at, or an exporter should look at when they are considering LCL, because the packaging is the first thing that will protect the cargo itself. So you need to control a lot the packaging when shipping by LCL, because that way you can avoid lots of damages.
Yeah, I mean, it's important for our customers to understand that when we're loading a container, the easiest way to do it is on a pallet when it's shrink wrap and it's banded. Why is that? Because we can put the forklift underneath and move the freight with ease. When we don't have that, it becomes a little bit of troublesome, right? And especially if we have multiple customers with different types of packaging, right? They will have to play a little bit of Tetris inside that container, and that's kind of the daily challenge.
Exactly, it is really like playing Tetris, and taking advantage of all the space possible within the container, and then also securing the cargo inside the container to avoid cargo movement that can harm the cargo, correctly?
Yeah, and in doing that, we need to take into account if a shipment is stackable or non-stackable, and that's key, and that's something that the customer need to ask the shipper. Can we put anything on top of this cargo or not? That's what stackable means, right? Can we put these under any other freight, or can we put it on top or on any other freight?
Correct.
And that's key for making an LCL move.
That's very accurate, my friend, because every cargo is different. So you have plain standard cargo that can be stacked among itself or among other cargos. You have cargo that can be only considered top load. That means it cannot be placed under another cargo, but it can be placed on top of another cargo. You have non-stackable cargo, plain and simple, that it's because of the size and the dimensions or the fragility of the cargo that you need to take it or handle it in a different way. And then on top of that, you also have overlength cargo, over-dimension cargo. You have dense cargo that you have to look at, and you have to prepare very carefully the loading of the containers.
Yeah, let's put us into a little bit of context. When we load in a box, we could have like an overlength shipment of pipes, multiple pipes, but if they're fragile, like you said, we cannot put anything on top. That would mean that the pipes, if they're long, there's nothing that we're gonna put in. So that will affect how our LCL move is gonna be done by the loader, right? And that means that we might have to consider a dead space. We have to consider how we're gonna move that container, how we're gonna deal with it. The same if it's dense, if it's too heavy, because every container has a top weight that we can only use either for the steamship line or the vessel, or for the road, when you're taking the road, taking that container to the port.
Sure.
So those kind of things you have to keep in mind, and it is always really important for the customer to give us that information firsthand, so we understand what we're dealing with. And the loader per se, when he's doing the loading, he will take that into account and make sure that the cargo is safe and secure.
There's a lot of work in planning the loading of the container and in preparing everything. And also you need to consider the weight of each cargo to be equally displayed within the container, to preserve the safety of the container and to avoid cargo moving inside the container as well,
Or tipping, right? Or tipping, because it could be dangerous that it could tip.
Sure. And then there's also a whole new world that opens to us when we consider also the DG cargo, the dangerous cargo or IMO cargo, right? That's a whole other different game.
When it comes to correct, and there's two things there, right? First of all, for DG cargo, there's no concessions on packaging. It must be properly packed every time.
Labeling.
And the labeling, correct, and the labeling, because we need to know what we're dealing with. And this, of course, it comes along with documents that we might talk later during our conversation. But this is key because we as consolidators, we have to become masters of dangerous goods, because I'm going to say probably 80% of our freight, even more, every single container will have a dangerous cargo.
Sure, depending on the trade lane for sure. And we need to remind that the liability of this it relies on the shipper. I mean, the shipper is responsible of choosing the correct and proper packaging for DG cargo and the labeling. And that way you can avoid a lot of hassle along the way, even hefty fines at destination if things are done improperly.
And we've seen that a lot, right? Lately, the carriers have come really strict about hazardous cargo, right? Not allowing them to come in. Batteries, right? Batteries have multiple different ways to move it, multiple restrictions. Each carrier sometimes have their own type of fee when it comes to dangerous goods. So on our side, I think we're a little bit covered because we have a centralized team, right? To review that kind of documents, to give us the okay that we can move. And also we have to let our customers know we don't move all kind of hazardous. For us, it's impossible to do it. There are some distinct items that we don't move, like explosives, like military.
Radioactive
Those are not for us.
Correct.
Radioactive, living cells or living species, right? Because they could be part of a move, but we cannot do it. But this kind of information is key for our load.
Sure. And then you also have to consider what kind of DG cargo is compatible with other types of DG cargo. And sometimes we need to separate the DG cargo in different containers because it's dangerous if you combine them together or if they are very close within the container.
And the same will go with the carrier, right? After we done that separation, after we do that compatibility, when it goes to the port, when it goes to the actual vessel, they will also see that. So it's all the way from A to Z that we have to see that compatibility. At least for our side, it's only at the container level, but on the service, it will affect every part of the service.
Sure. Spot on. And then also, I would add the loose cargo that we mentioned before. I think that it's very common to see loose cargo from imports from Far East in general. And depending on the trade, I think it's the easiest way to have the cargo damaged is to arrange it loose, unpalletized or improperly created, right? Keep in mind that the cargo is manipulated several times along the chain and along the way, right? The container is loaded, unloaded, then loaded in a truck, unloaded from a truck, and all those things can affect the packaging, especially if the quality of the packaging, loose packaging, is not good enough.
100%. And I think now we're seeing more on a day-to-day basis. And why is that? Because we have such a big e-commerce service. So everybody's doing e-commerce. Someone can purchase something online. And when they do that, they will receive a small package. And they will say, well, let me send it to whatever. But for us, it's not the same. We're not dealing with these small packages. But when you put it in a container, if we don't put it safely and secure, it might move around. Not only damaging itself, but it might damage other freight that is inside the container. So that's why it's so important to have something holding it secure. A pallet, bandages, shrink wrap, everything together, right? That'll be the easiest and most secure way to move your packaging without getting a headache when it gets at destination.
Sure. So I would say that the first thing that you need to consider very carefully if you want to move a cargo by LCL is what kind of packaging suits you the best for your cargo, your type of cargo, and for the trade lane where you're going to send the cargo to the destination.
100%. And probably we didn't mention it, but there's some restrictions in different countries where we have where we need heat-treated pallets. Not all countries accept regular pallets, and if we need a heat-treated pallet, then it's a different ballgame. We will have to take care of that before leaving the country.
So best thing is seek for advice from a proper supplier, right?
If it's properly packaged and secure, we will be good to go.
Spot on. Correct.